The glass was already in President Ibrahim Traoré's hand. The golden drink inside shimmered under the lights of the Grand Hall, where foreign dignitaries, army generals, and ministers laughed, chatted, and clinked glasses. The air smelled of roasted meats and expensive cigars, a celebration fit for royalty. But as the president raised a glass to his lips, he paused. His eyes locked on the young waiter standing by the table, a little too stiff, a little too pale. And then the president spoke, not to the man beside him, not to the crowd, but to the waiter himself. "You knew I'd drink this, didn't you?" Ibrahim asked calmly, still holding the glass. The room went silent. The waiter blinked, trembled, swallowed hard. He didn't respond. President Traoré smiled, but it wasn't the kind of smile that comforted. "I know what you did," he said, setting the glass down slowly. "I knew before you ever walked into this hall." Gasps filled the air. The guards lunged. The waiter tried to run. Too late. But before the guards could reach him, something even more shocking happened. A shot rang out. Someone screamed. And then, 6 months earlier, Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, was unusually quiet for a dry season morning. It was still early, and the sun was just beginning to stretch across the red earth. Dust clung to everything, from the tin rooftops to the mango trees lining the back roads. Motorbikes hummed in the distance. Inside the presidential residence, President Ibrahim Traoré sat by himself in his study. The room was simple, no gold chairs or velvet curtains. Just a wide desk, a map of West Africa on the wall, and stacks of papers that never seemed to shrink. He looked tired, not the tired that came from lack of sleep, but the tired that came from knowing too much, from seeing too much. A knock came. "Enter," Ibrahim said without looking up. Captain Diallo walked in. Loyal, sharp, one of the few people Ibrahim truly trusted. "They're here," Diallo said. "The French envoy and the businessmen from Ivory Coast." Ibrahim nodded. "Let them in, but keep your eyes open. Not everyone smiles with clean hands." Later that day, the guests arrived for what was supposed to be a simple diplomatic lunch. They brought gifts, praises, and smiles too wide to be real. Among them was a tall, slender man with a quiet presence. He didn't say much, just watched, moved silently. He wore the uniform of a server, not a suit. Nobody noticed him. That was his job. His name was Saliu, and he had come with one mission: to poison President Ibrahim Traoré. But what Saliu didn't know was that Ibrahim already knew. He had known since the man crossed the border, and he was letting him get close on purpose. 2 months before the luncheon, a coded message arrived through an encrypted channel. It came from a spy deep inside a neighboring regime. The message was short but chilling. "Your food will be your funeral. The one who serves you will not be who he claims to be." President Traoré read the message twice. Then he calmly locked it in his drawer. He didn't tell anyone, not even Diallo. Instead, he waited and watched. Saliu had been trained in silence, raised in shadows. No family, no records, just a name and a set of hands trained to kill quietly. He had been selected by his handlers because of one special skill. He could mimic anyone and vanish before they noticed he was ever there. To infiltrate the presidential event, he had replaced a real waiter who had fallen ill under mysterious circumstances. No one looked twice. He practiced every move, studied the president's habits, the way he held a fork, how he preferred grilled lamb over chicken, that he always drank the sparkling palm wine served at the end of every major meal. That was how it would be done. The poison would be in the wine. 1 sip, 10 seconds, then silence. Clean, untraceable, perfect. The night before the luncheon, President Ibrahim Traoré sat in the garden alone. The air was warm and dry, and frogs croaked by the pond. He wasn't afraid. He was thinking, watching the stars. He knew the poison was coming. He knew who the man was. He even knew what kind of poison they'd use: tetrodotoxin, a deadly substance from a pufferfish, brought in through Ghana's ports and sold on the black market. It was the kind of poison that left no trace unless you were already looking for it. And Ibrahim was looking. He made one call, just one, not to his army, not to his security team, but to a woman named Yara, a chemist living deep in Bobo Dioulasso. She had once saved his life during the war, and now he needed her again. "Can you neutralize tetrodotoxin?" he asked. There was silence on the other end. "Then, yes, but it will burn like fire in your chest." "I can take the fire," he said. "What I need is to see who's holding the matches." The day of the event, Saliu woke before dawn. He checked his vial. Just a few drops. Enough to stop a lion's heart. He had hidden the poison inside a fake tooth, just like he was trained. He arrived early, walked through the security gate, got patted down, smiled. No one suspected a thing. At exactly 3:12 p.m., the wine was poured. And as Saliu stepped forward, he placed the glass gently in front of the president. He said nothing, just bowed and backed away. Ibrahim watched him, slowly picked up the glass. His hand didn't tremble, but Saliu's did. The entire hall was caught in celebration, but the air was tight around the president's table. Ministers clapped. Glasses clinked. The national anthem started to play faintly in the background. And then Ibrahim raised the glass and looked Saliu in the eye. "You knew I'd drink this, didn't you?" Saliu's smile froze. "I know what you did." Gasps. Guard moved. Saliu turned, ran, crashed into a table. Plates flew. People screamed. But before they could reach him, a gunshot exploded through the room. Saliu's body jerked. He fell forward. Blood pooled beneath him. But the shooter wasn't a guard. It was someone else entirely. Someone no one expected. And as Ibrahim turned to see who fired the shot, he froze. His eyes widened for the first time that day. The gun was in the hands of someone who should never have had it. Someone he thought was on his side. And just like that, everything changed. For a moment, time stopped. The music died. The guests froze. The only sound in the grand hall was the clatter of silverware hitting the floor and the distant echo of the gunshot still ringing in everyone's ears. Saliu lay motionless, face down, blood soaking into the white cloth beneath him. The vial of tetrodotoxin had shattered inside his pocket, never reaching the president's lips. But that was no longer what mattered. All eyes were now fixed on the person holding the smoking gun. "Captain Diallo." Ibrahim Traoré stared at him, stunned. "Diallo," he whispered, the name slipping from his lips like a question wrapped in disbelief. Diallo didn't lower the gun. "Everyone out," he said coldly, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "Now!" The guards hesitated, looking to the president for direction. But Ibrahim, still seated, gave a slow nod. "Do as he says." The guests began to shuffle out, ministers shielding their faces, foreign delegates whispering frantically, some tripping over their robes in panic. The heavy wooden doors slammed shut behind the last person, leaving only the president, Diallo, and two guards standing at the edge of the room, unsure of what came next. Diallo's arm didn't waver. "You weren't supposed to know," he said to Ibrahim. "You were supposed to drink it, die peacefully, and be remembered as a hero." Ibrahim leaned forward slightly in his chair, calm but alert. "So you knew too? You helped him." Diallo gave a bitter chuckle. "Helped him? I recruited him. That boy didn't even know who he was really working for." One of the guards shouted, "Drop the weapon." But Diallo ignored him. "Let me explain before your men do something stupid," he said, shifting the gun slightly, but not aiming at anyone new. "Explain?" Ibrahim asked, rising slowly to his feet. "Explain why the man I trusted more than any other put a killer in the same room as me." Diallo's face darkened. "Because you're too proud to see the truth, Ibrahim. You think you're saving this country, but you've made too many enemies. The French, the Russians, our own generals. You were walking into a trap, and you didn't even know it. I just wanted it to be quick, clean, respectful. A peaceful death, better than what they planned." "They?" Ibrahim asked. "Who are they, Diallo?" But before Diallo could answer, one of the guards lunged. Too fast. The shot went off again. Smoke. Screams. This time it was the guard who hit the ground, clutching his side, blood spilling between his fingers. Ibrahim didn't move. "Enough," he shouted, the sound of his voice like thunder, shaking the room. "Diallo, if you wanted me dead, you had your chance. Why didn't you do it yourself?" Diallo's hand trembled now. He blinked. "Because I couldn't," he said. "I tried. I stood over you last night. In your room. You didn't hear me come in. I stood there for 5 minutes, gun in hand. But I couldn't pull the trigger. You were in my room? Ibrahim asked, his voice quiet now, almost like he was speaking to a memory. I couldn't do it, Diallo repeated, his voice breaking. You're like a brother to me. I thought I could choose my country over you. But standing there, I realized I couldn't. Ibrahim stepped closer. And yet, you pulled the trigger today. Diallo looked at Saliu's body on the floor. Because he was going to finish what I couldn't. And I knew if he failed, you'd never trust me again. So I killed him. I saved your life, but I've ended mine. Silence returned. Then, slowly, Diallo lowered the gun. It clattered to the floor. Ibrahim looked at the remaining guard. Take him to the holding cell. He's not a traitor. He's broken. The guard moved cautiously, picking up the gun first, then helping Diallo up. As Diallo was led away, he turned once more to Ibrahim. There's more coming. That boy was just the beginning. The real danger is already here, inside the palace. And then he was gone. The next day, the newspapers were silent. No headline. No mention of the gunshot. No word of the assassination attempt. Just a smiling photo of Ibrahim Traoré at the luncheon, shaking hands with a smiling Ivorian minister. But inside the presidential compound, everything had changed. Ibrahim sat alone in the war room, a place he rarely used. The walls were covered in digital maps, surveillance feeds, dossiers, and threat assessments. A cold fan spun lazily from the ceiling. Yara entered quietly. She had come in secret, dressed like a market vendor, carrying a basket that held more than vegetables. You swallowed the antidote before the wine? She asked. Ibrahim nodded. You were right. It burned, like swallowing fire ants. You're lucky. That poison doesn't wait. He handed her a file. This is the man Diallo hired. Saliu. Real name, unknown. No fingerprints in the system. No family records. No country of origin. A ghost. Yara flipped through the papers. A ghost can't get this close without help. Someone inside helped him. Someone powerful. Diallo says it wasn't just him. Ibrahim replied. He said they're already inside. Who? I don't know yet, Ibrahim said, eyes hardening. But I want to find out. A week later, the new head of presidential security, Commander Ouattara, knocked at Ibrahim's office door. We found something strange, he said. It was in Saliu's room, hidden behind the wall panel. He placed a small device on the president's desk. It was a transmitter. Sophisticated. Russian-made. Ibrahim leaned forward. Who was he talking to? We don't know yet. But it's not just the Russians. The device was bouncing signals through 4 countries. Mali, Côte d'Ivoire, France, and someone inside our own Ministry of Energy. Ibrahim's eyes narrowed. Energy? Someone who has access to sensitive grid locations, power stations, fuel routes, water supplies. And if that person was compromised, the president asked, they could take out half the country in a day. That night, the lights in Ouagadougou flickered. Once, twice, then darkness. Phones stopped working. Radios went silent. Water pumps failed. And just before midnight, the army's southern barracks exploded in a flash of fire and thunder, shaking the ground beneath the presidential residence. Ibrahim stood on the balcony, watching the red glow on the horizon. It had begun. The fire lit up the night sky like a second sun. Black smoke curled into the stars. The sound of sirens, gunfire, and shouting flooded the city. People scrambled through the darkened streets of Ouagadougou, confused and terrified. It wasn't just a power outage anymore. It was war. President Ibrahim Traoré didn't speak as he stood on the balcony, watching the flames from the southern barracks rise. His military aide, Lieutenant Adama, rushed into the room behind him, boots thudding hard against the tile. Mr. President, Adama shouted, breathless. The southern base, it's gone. All communications cut. We're getting reports of explosions near the Gampila power grid, too. Ibrahim's voice was steady. Any word from Ouattara? Not yet, but we have reason to believe the blast was internal. Someone planted explosives, probably days ago. Ibrahim nodded once. Mobilize what we have. Lock down the city. No one gets in or out without clearance. Adama hesitated. Sir, what if it's more than sabotage? What if this is the start of a coup? Ibrahim turned his head slightly, just enough for Adama to see the fire in his eyes. Then let them come. Inside a dark basement beneath the Ministry of Energy, two men in expensive suits and a woman in military fatigues huddled over a flickering laptop screen. Their faces were tense. Shadows danced on the wall from a single oil lantern. "He survived the poisoning," said the woman, a colonel from the Northern Command. "Now we've lost the element of surprise." One of the men, an Ivorian business tycoon named Coffee, slammed his palm on the table. "We were supposed to have control by now. You told me his inner circle was crumbling." "It is," the colonel hissed. Diallo was the last thread keeping him sane. Now the president is isolated, angry, and unpredictable. That makes him weak. The second man, pale and silent until now, looked up. He had a French accent, but his name was fake. Everyone just called him Le Chasseur, the hunter. "I have someone inside," he said. "Someone even closer than Diallo." "Who?" asked Coffee. But Le Chasseur only smiled. At the presidential command center, Ibrahim paced slowly in front of a table covered in satellite images and phone logs. Yara stood beside him, her fingers tapping on a tablet. She had traced the signal from Saliu's transmitter to a hidden server beneath the Ministry of Energy, but there was something odd about the data. "It's like someone wanted us to find this," she muttered. "These pings are too clean, too deliberate. It feels like bait." Ibrahim looked over the files again. "What if it is? What if they want to draw us in while they make their real move?" Yara nodded. "Then we're already a step behind." Commander Ouattara burst through the doors, his face grim. "Sir, the guards at Gate 3 have been found unconscious, drugged, and 2 uniforms are missing." Ibrahim's face darkened. "That means someone's already inside the palace." A silence fell over the room. "Shut down all entry points. I want a full sweep of the compound. No one moves without my word." Ouattara saluted and ran off. Ibrahim turned to Yara. "They've stopped trying to kill me from a distance. Now they're coming for me directly." At that same moment, in a hallway just 2 floors below the president's quarters, a young woman with a food cart pushed her way past 2 distracted guards. She wore the uniform of a palace cook, clean apron, pressed shirt, and a name tag that read Fatou. But she wasn't Fatou. She wasn't even a cook. She was an assassin. She had no knife, no gun, just a syringe hidden under the soup bowl on the tray, and a face no one questioned. She reached the service elevator and pressed the button for the top floor. Meanwhile, Yara discovered something strange. In the security logs from earlier that morning, there were 2 different entries for the same person, Fatou, the cook. One swiping into the building at 6:42 a.m. and again at 7:03 a.m. But the first Fatou had never left. She froze. "Mr. President," she said sharply, "we have a second infiltrator." Before she could say more, the lights in the command room flickered, then cut out completely. The backup generator hummed, but the screens were dead. Ibrahim's radio buzzed. Ouattara's voice came through in a panic. "Mr. President, the elevator to your floor has been activated by someone on the staff list, but it's not anyone we recognize. Get out of your room now." Ibrahim didn't wait. He grabbed his sidearm and motioned for Yara to follow. The elevator doors opened softly on the top floor. The fake Fatou stepped out, pushing her cart silently, scanning the hallway. No guards, no staff. The power outage had cleared the path. She moved fast. Room after room she checked, until she reached the one with the golden plaque, President's private quarters. She smiled. She pushed open the door slowly, careful not to make a sound. The room was dark, empty. She stepped in cautiously, syringe in hand, searching the shadows. Click! The sound of a gun hammer being cocked behind her. "Turn around," came Ibrahim's voice from shadows. She spun, but too late. Ibrahim stood with the pistol raised. Yara behind him, holding a flashlight. "Put it down," he said. "You've already failed." But instead of dropping the syringe, the woman laughed. "You think I came here alone?" Before Ibrahim could speak, a massive blast shook the building, this time from inside the palace. Dust and smoke filled the hallway. Then came gunfire. Not distant this time. Close, just outside the door. The palace was under attack. From the inside, and someone had just unlocked the secure vault to the national defense system. Inside the panic and chaos, the last thing Ibrahim heard before the smoke swallowed the hallway was the fake cook's whisper. "Le chasseur says hello." The smoke roared down the hallway like a storm. Thick, black, choking. Ibrahim grabbed Yara by the wrist and yanked her backward, slamming the door to his private quarters shut just as another explosion echoed through the palace. Dust rained from the ceiling. Light bulbs burst. The fake cook had vanished into the chaos. Outside, gunfire crackled close. Not the random sound of panic, but short, deliberate bursts. Professional. Trained. "They're inside," Ibrahim said, moving fast toward a hidden panel in the wall behind a bookshelf. He slammed it open with his fist, revealing a narrow stairway, spiraling down into the dark. "Where does this go?" Yara asked, coughing from the smoke. "Safe route to the old war bunker beneath the gardens. Only a few people even know it exists," Ibrahim replied. "We'll regroup there." He handed her his backup pistol. "Shoot if anyone that's not me comes through." Together, they disappeared into the shadows. 2 floors above them, Commander Ouattara barked orders through a cracked radio. His men were split, half defending the control room, the others trying to push back against the armed infiltrators now flooding the palace. But whoever was leading the attack wasn't rushing blindly. This wasn't a coup with a loud fanfare. It was a precision operation. Silent, surgical, deadly. And then came the worst report of the night. "Sir," a voice crackled through the radio. "We've lost access to the defense grid. Someone's taken the vault. The codes are gone." Ouattara's mouth went dry. The vault housed the control systems for everything. Radar, communications, the drone fleet, encrypted radio towers, and access to the presidential military safe zones. If the attackers got hold of those codes, it wouldn't just be the president at risk. It would be the entire country. In the garden bunker, Ibrahim and Yara emerged from the darkness into a cold concrete room lined with old war maps, radios, and cabinets filled with weapons and encrypted files. The room hadn't been used since the revolution. "I thought you shut this place down," Yara said. "I did," Ibrahim replied, "but I never stopped guarding it." He flicked on a manual switch, and a row of lights buzzed to life. The radio was dead. The antenna had likely been hit during the blasts. "We need to find out who's leading this," Yara said, and fast. Ibrahim grabbed a heavy case from a steel drawer and opened it. Inside were files, dozens of them, labeled in code, but Yara could read the markings. Black market arms lists, bribes, foreign intelligence, names of suspected traitors. Ibrahim flipped through until he stopped on one. A photo of a face both of them recognized. The face of the French operative known only as Le Chasseur. Ibrahim stared at the image. "He's here. I know it. He wants more than a coup. He wants the keys to everything." "Why now?" Yara asked. "You've survived worse." "Because he finally found someone close enough to make the shot count," Ibrahim replied. Diallo was just the beginning. Back inside the palace, the attackers moved like shadows. No uniforms, no flags, but they had the precision of special forces. Their target wasn't loot or prisoners, it was control. They moved toward the vault, through the side wings of the palace, clearing guards room by room. But something happened they didn't expect. Resistance, not just from soldiers, but from palace staff. Gardeners, cooks, cleaners, ordinary people who had been quietly trained for exactly this kind of moment by the president himself. A young messenger named Musa, barely 16, tackled a masked intruder and slammed a broom handle into his throat. A janitor named Isaka dragged a fallen soldier behind a counter and took his weapon, firing with shaking hands. The palace was supposed to fall in minutes. It didn't. Down in the bunker, Ibrahim and Yara rigged a shortwave transmitter. It was crude, slow, but it worked. They reached Commander Ouattara. "What's your status?" Ibrahim asked. "We're holding what we can," Ouattara responded through static. "But they've taken a vault room. We think Le Chasseur's inside." Ibrahim's jaw tightened. "I'm coming." "Sir, no. You're the last target. We can't lose you." "You won't," Ibrahim said. "You just have to trust me." He turned to Yara. "We're going in." She raised an eyebrow. "Through the front?" He shook his head. through the old mining shaft. It connects to the south wing. No one's used it in years. You sure it's still clear? No, he said, but I don't have time to be sure. The mining shaft was cold and smelled of rust and earth. Ibrahim and Yara moved quickly, flashlights cutting through the dark. They climbed rusted ladders, slid down narrow passages, and finally emerged inside a supply room behind the vault hallway. Ibrahim peeked through the cracks in the wall. Inside, Le Chasseur stood beside a metal table, setting up a portable transmitter. His voice was low but clear. Confirming delivery of vault control codes, he said into a satellite phone. Prepare to activate within the hour. Then he turned slightly, and that's when Ibrahim saw something he hadn't expected. Standing beside Le Chasseur was Fatou, not the fake one, the real one, his long-trusted cook. She wasn't a hostage. She was part of it. Yara saw it too. Her voice shook. She made your meals every day. Ibrahim's heart sank, but his mind stayed sharp. She was feeding me information for months, he whispered. Now I know why it was always half right. Yara looked up. What do we do? Ibrahim checked his pistol. We end it. With a loud crash, Ibrahim kicked open the door. Drop everything, he shouted. Le Chasseur didn't flinch. He calmly raised his hands, smiling coldly. Monsieur le Président, how nice of you to join us. Fatou stepped back, eyes locked with Ibrahim. Her hand twitched near her belt. Ibrahim caught it instantly. Don't. But she moved anyway. A gun flashed. Yara fired first. Fatou dropped. Ibrahim didn't look away, not even as the blood spread on the floor. Not even as her hand tried to reach for the transmitter, trembling. I gave you my trust, he said quietly, then turned to Le Chasseur. But Le Chasseur only laughed. You think you've won? He pressed something on his watch. The screens behind him lit up. One by one, red dots appeared on a map of Burkina Faso. Explosives, hidden in markets, schools, military outposts. All I ever needed, Le Chasseur whispered, was 10 minutes. A countdown started. 00:09:59, 00:09:58, 00:09:57. Ibrahim stared at the screen, then turned to Yara. Find the kill code. Now. 00:09:56, 00:09:55, 00:09:54. The ticking countdown echoed through the room like a funeral drum. Ibrahim Traoré's eyes never left the screen. Red dots blinked across the map of Burkina Faso, each one a location where innocent people would die unless he found a way to stop it. Yara dropped to her knees beside the transmitter, fingers flying over the keypad. It's encrypted. He's using a hybrid frequency sweep, French military grade. We don't have the decoding key. Le Chasseur, still standing with that calm, snake-like smile, said softly, no one does. That's the beauty of it. You can't deactivate what you can't see. The only signal strong enough to override the sequence is in Paris. Ibrahim didn't blink. Then I guess we'll have to cut the wires instead. He lunged. In one motion, he grabbed Le Chasseur by the collar and slammed him against the wall. The man's smug composure cracked, just slightly. Ibrahim pressed his pistol to the side of his head. Give me the kill code, he said. Le Chasseur didn't flinch. You don't scare me. You never did. You're not a soldier. You're a symbol. And symbols die when people stop believing. Ibrahim cocked the hammer. Then let's test your theory. Yara interrupted. Mr. President, wait. There's another way. I think I can piggyback on the fail-safe line. What I'll need is biometric signature, fingerprint, retina scan, and I'll need them now. Le Chasseur sneered. She won't make it in time. 00:07:23, 00:07:22, 00:07:21. Ibrahim yanked Le Chasseur's hand and slammed it onto the scanner pad Yara pulled from the transmitter's base. It lit up red. Print match, Yara said quickly. Now his eyes. Le Chasseur squirmed. Ibrahim didn't wait. He headbutted the man hard, knocking him off balance, then forced open his eyelid. Scan complete. Okay, Yara said. Now I can send a reversal signal, but I still need the transmission frequency. Without it, we're jamming smoke. Ibrahim looked at Le Chasseur. You have 10 seconds to give us the channel. Or what? Le Chasseur laughed, blood on his lip. You'll shoot me and lose the only chance to stop the countdown. Ibrahim leaned in close. No, I'll shoot you, then bring you back, then shoot you again. I'll make sure the last breath you ever take tastes like ash. Le Chasseur stared at him, and in that moment realized the president wasn't bluffing. Channel 68, he muttered. An offset by 3.2. Yara keyed it in. The screen blinked. Signal found. Override in progress. 00:0, 4:15. 00:0, 4:14. Suddenly, the screen went black. Yara? Ibrahim asked. She was frozen, staring. I didn't do that. Then the backup screen lit up again. Only one that remained blinking. The biggest one, centered on Ouagadougou. Commander Ouattara's voice screamed through the radio. Mr. President, we've got a bomb under the National Assembly. Evacuation already started, but we don't have time. Ibrahim grabbed the radio. Can you find it? We're trying, but we don't have the exact coordinates. And the system's still jamming our scanners. Use the underground blueprint. Yara shouted. There's a utility duct beneath the assembly stage. Check for heat spikes. Ibrahim looked at the countdown. 00:0, 3:59. 00:0, 3:58. Too fast. Too close. Under the National Assembly, soldiers tore through the darkness, guided only by dim torches and half-working maps. The heat was rising too fast. Here, one shouted, pointing to a metal box, wires trailing like veins from its side. This is it, Ouattara radioed in. Found it, but it's locked in a steel case, rigged with secondary triggers. If we cut the wrong wire, you won't, Ibrahim said. Wait for the override. Yara worked furiously. Almost there. The code's fighting back. It's looping false keys to make me waste time. Come on, come on. Le Chasseur chuckled darkly behind them. It's over. You're playing with fire you can't contain. Shut up, Ibrahim growled, eyes locked on Yara. She gritted her teeth. Got it. Sending final signal. The screen flashed. Override accepted. Signal locked. Counter signature matched. Detonation aborted. All the red dots disappeared. Silence. Then a voice from the radio. Ouattara. Bomb deactivated. We're clear. Yara sat back on the floor, shaking. Ibrahim lowered his pistol. Le Chasseur slumped against the wall, defeated. You're lucky, Traoré. But luck runs out. Ibrahim stepped over to him. This wasn't luck, he said. It was loyalty. And then he hit Le Chasseur with the butt of his pistol. The man slumped into unconsciousness. Later that night, as emergency lights flickered across the battered palace, Ibrahim and Yara walked through the ruined halls. The wounded were being treated. Fires were mostly out. Guards, staff, and civilians had fought side by side to keep the heart of the country beating. Outside, the people had begun to gather in the streets, holding candles, singing, not in fear, but in strength. Ibrahim looked out at them through the broken window of his office. His face was tired, bloody, but unbroken. Yara stood beside him. We stopped the bombs, stopped the attack. But this wasn't the end, was it? No, he said quietly. This was the prologue. In the darkness of a bunker far across the border, another screen blinked to life. A man in a silk robe stepped forward, holding a phone to his ear. So, he survived, the voice on the other end said. Yes, the man replied. But we learned something important. What's that? That Burkina Faso is not held by power. It is held by one man's will. And if we want to break the country, we must break that man. Back in Ouagadougou, Ibrahim Traoré stood before his people the next morning. No suit, no podium, just a microphone and a truth they all needed to hear. Last night, our country was almost stolen from us, he said. But you held it. With your hands, your courage, your faith. He paused. There are still enemies inside our walls, but they no longer hide in the dark. They've shown their faces. And now, We will show them our strength." The crowd erupted in cheers. But deep beneath the city, in a hidden chamber Ibrahim hadn't seen in years, a sensor triggered. A new light blinked on, a device never meant to activate unless all other systems had failed. It had a name, Protocol Ember, and it had just been armed. The blinking light glowed softly in the underground chamber like a heartbeat in the dark. Protocol Ember, a final defense system installed years ago during the revolution. It was never meant to activate unless the state was under total collapse. No one had accessed it in over a decade. No one except now. And the worst part? It wasn't triggered by Ibrahim Traoré. Ibrahim was in the middle of a security briefing when the alert came through. A junior technician burst into the war room, out of breath and drenched in sweat. "Sir, we got a problem. A red-level trigger just activated beneath the Capitol. It's Ember." The room fell silent. Ouattara, still recovering from the chaos of the previous night, looked up from his chair. "That's not possible. Ember is sealed. Triple lock protocol. Needs presidential biometric access." The technician looked like he'd seen a ghost. "That's just it. The system says the trigger was presidential. It was your access, sir." Ibrahim's face didn't change, but the room seemed to grow colder. "I never authorized it." Yara, standing beside him, stepped forward. "Then someone used his signature, which means either our systems are completely compromised, or there's a copy of the president's biometrics out there." Ouattara finished grimly. A silence. Then Ibrahim spoke. "Where is the Ember core located?" "In the deep sector beneath the original parliament ruins," said the technician, "buried under layers of rock and steel. And sir, it's armed with nuclear fallback contingencies. Tactical grade. If it completes its countdown and doesn't receive a deactivation signal, it won't just wipe data. It'll level half the city." They moved fast. Within the hour, a convoy of military trucks and armored cars pushed through Ouagadougou's half-repaired streets, heading for the deepest sector of the capital. At its center, a building most people thought was an abandoned civil archive, guarded by vines and rusted gates. Inside, Ibrahim, Yara, Ouattara, and a small strike team moved through the dark, their boots echoing against stone floors and metal stairwells. The walls were damp, covered in moss. The air smelled of earth, old wires, and sealed secrets. As they descended the final steps into the Ember chamber, the lights began to flicker, a sure sign that someone else was already inside. "Guns up," Ibrahim whispered. The team spread out. The chamber was massive, like the belly of a metal beast. At the far end stood a console with 3 glowing circles, the biometric locks. One was green. Ibrahim walked forward slowly. Someone opened one of the seals, Yaris said, scanning the interface. "The other 2 are still locked, but the system's in pre-launch mode. Countdown started 6 minutes ago." Ouattara cursed. "What's the timer?" 30 minutes until tactical purge. After that, there's no stopping it." Ibrahim took off his glove and placed his hand on the second biometric pad. Beep. Verified. 2 circles turned green. Only one remained red. "That last one is for backup override," Yaris said. "It's keyed to a hidden emergency contact, one who was trusted before this system was buried." "Who is it?" Ibrahim asked. Yara tapped into the log. The name that appeared froze everyone. "Diallo." "No," Ibrahim breathed. "He's in custody." "There's no way." Ouattara cut in. "Unless someone on the inside accessed his print. Or he escaped." Yara pulled up the prison feed on her tablet. Diallo's cell was empty. And not just empty, clean. The kind of clean only a planned extraction could cause. "He's gone," she whispered. "Someone got him out." Ibrahim stared at the red circle, glowing like an eye. "We have 23 minutes to find him, or we lose everything." At that moment, on the outskirts of the capital, a black car sped across the dirt roads leading toward the hills. Inside, Diallo sat handcuffed in the back, flanked by 2 soldiers dressed in unmarked uniforms. He looked out the window, said nothing. One of the soldiers turned to him. "You were a patriot once. You still believe in that man?" "Traoré." Diallo didn't answer. The soldier continued. "Your prints are the key. Once we reach the station in the hills, the system triggers, the city burns, and Burkina Faso is ready to be rebuilt. That's what you wanted, right? A new start. Diallo stared at the soldier, then very softly said, I never wanted blood, just balance. The soldier grinned. Then you came to the wrong war. Back underground, Ibrahim leaned over a security terminal. Yara was tracking signal pings, trying to find any trace of Diallo's movement. I need you to think, she said. If you were him, where would you go? He's not a killer, not like the others. He hesitated. Ibrahim didn't answer for a long time, then said the hills, west of the city. He has a family house there. His mother died there. He visits the well every year. Ouattara didn't wait. I'll send a drone team and a strike unit. No, Ibrahim said. I'm going. Ouattara blinked. Sir, you can't. I can. Ibrahim said sharply. He'll only listen to me. Minutes later, a black helicopter roared into the sky. Inside, Ibrahim stared out at the landscape below, eyes locked on the horizon. Yara was at his side, coordinating with the Ember Chamber. 17 minutes, she said in his earpiece. Plenty of time, he replied. But deep down, he wasn't sure. At the hilltop station, the soldiers dragged Diallo out of the car and into an old radio tower base. On a metal table lay a mobile transmitter and a biometric scanner. Place his hand, one ordered. The other forced Diallo's wrist down. The scanner beeped. Match found. Unlocking third authorization key. But just as the final key began to process, the door behind them exploded. Smoke. Shouting. Gunfire. Ibrahim stepped through the smoke first, pistol raised. Step away from him. The soldiers turned and opened fire. 2 shots hit the wall behind Ibrahim as he dove to the left. His guards returned fire, and within seconds, it was over. The 2 men lay dead. Diallo was on the floor, still cuffed. Ibrahim approached him, panting, dust in his lungs. We don't have time. Diallo looked up, eyes. I always would, Ibrahim said. But if you believe in me, believe in the people. Help me stop this. Diallo nodded slowly. Ibrahim unlocked his cuffs. Together, they placed Diallo's hand on the override pad. Back in the Ember Chamber, the red circle turned green. Authorization complete. Protocol Ember. Disarmed. The lights faded. The threat was gone. And for the first time in 48 hours, silence didn't feel like fear. It felt like victory. That night, alone in the old war room, Ibrahim stared at a photograph from years ago. Him and Diallo, side by side, young and hopeful. Yara entered. It's done. The chamber's sealed again. I want it erased, he said. For good. Ember shouldn't exist anymore. She nodded. But sir, she added, what about Diallo? Ibrahim closed his eyes. He goes free, but under watch. He's lost enough already. Yara didn't argue. As she turned to leave, Ibrahim said, they keep trying to break me, poison me, bomb me, turn my friends against me. He looked up, but I'm still standing. Far across the ocean, in a private room in Geneva, a group of men in suits watched a video feed of the failed activation. Le Chasseur was one of them, now with a stitched lip and one arm in a sling. A man in the shadows stepped forward. We underestimated him, he said. Le Chasseur spat on the floor. Not next time, the man said. Next time, we don't try to kill President Ibrahim Traoré. We destroy everything around him. The wind howled through the desert plains of the Sahel as a convoy of military trucks cut across the horizon, dust trailing behind them like smoke from a dying fire. Inside the lead vehicle sat Ibrahim Traoré, silent, surrounded by elite guards. He wasn't returning from a celebration. He was returning from a funeral, one of many. Over the past 2 weeks, 3 regional commanders had been assassinated, one by poison, another by a staged vehicle explosion, and the third by sniper, shot through the neck while praying at dawn. Each attack was clean, coordinated, and came with a message left behind in the same handwriting. Your shield is cracking. And then, a blood-red symbol stamped below the words, a chess knight turned upside down. Only one group used that mark, the Black Corridor, a secret network of mercenaries, ex-generals, foreign agents, and paid ideologues. They didn't want to lead Burkina Faso. They wanted to break it from the inside and sell the pieces to the highest bidders. Back at the capital, Yara intercepted a private satellite transmission while scanning government channels. The signal was cloaked in false medical data, but she knew the coding well. It was the same encryption used in the aborted Ember launch. She decoded it. Her face went pale. The message read, Phase 3 approved. Target, public perception. Launch operation, mask fall. She ran to Ibrahim's private office immediately. The president sat behind his desk, scanning intelligence memos when Yara burst in. "You need to see this," she said, slapping the printout down. Ibrahim read it silently. "They're not trying to kill you this time," Yara said. "They're trying to kill your name." Within hours, chaos erupted in the information sphere. A deepfake video was released showing Ibrahim ordering the execution of civilians. It was graphic, convincing, and spread like wildfire on social media. A second video followed, this time a fake confession by Diallo, saying Ibrahim staged the attacks to justify martial law. Then came documents, fake but detailed, accusing the president of taking bribes from Russian operatives and planning to sell uranium reserves to a private Swiss firm. In marketplaces, people whispered. In mosques, questions were asked. In schools, teachers told students to stay home. The fear that had once been external was now inside every home. "You must respond," Traoré said. "Go on national TV. Deny everything. Bring the forensics team to prove the videos are fake." Ibrahim shook his head. "That's exactly what they want. If I go on TV, I give a lie power. People will think I'm scared." Yara spoke next. "Then what do we do?" He looked up slowly. "We fight lies with truth. But not just any truth. We show them what these people really want. We unmask them." The next morning, Ibrahim made an unannounced visit to a small village on the edge of the eastern forest, Kobara, where a community leader named Old Mama Binta had lived for over 70 years. Her son had been killed in the revolution, and she'd raised orphans ever since. Ibrahim sat with her under a neem tree. No cameras, no microphones. Just locals. Just witnesses. She looked at him carefully, then said, "Are you the man they say you are?" He met her eyes. "I'm not perfect, but I have never ordered the death of my own people." She looked at the crowd, then stood, raised her voice. "This man ate at my table, slept in our house when he had nothing but a bullet wound and a promise. If he is a monster, then let lightning strike me where I stand." Silence. No lightning came, and slowly, the people of Kobara gathered around their president. Not because he demanded it, because he didn't. Meanwhile, Yara and a group of trusted cyber experts hunted the source of the deepfakes. The code was traced to a private server located under an embassy building, legally untouchable. She didn't care. She hacked it anyway. Inside, she found raw footage used for the edits, training algorithms written in Cyrillic and French, and one final file that chilled her to the bone. Operation Hydra. It listed names, not of enemies, but of people inside Ibrahim's own government. Ministers, judges, even a high-ranking officer in the president's personal guard, all scheduled to flip allegiance once the public turned on him. Yara brought it to Ibrahim that night. He read the names in silence, then said, "This war is no longer in the shadows. It's at our table. We need to act," Yara said. "Public trials. Evidence. Expose them one by one." "No," Ibrahim said. "We don't give them that much time." The next morning, as the sun rose over Ouagadougou, 13 high-ranking officials were arrested during a secret operation coordinated by Ibrahim, Ouattara, and Yara. All of them were caught with data transfers, foreign accounts, encrypted devices, and direct ties to the Black Corridor network. No warning, no leaks, just steel in the dark. The nation held its breath. Then, something unexpected happened. The Black Corridor retaliated not with violence, but with truth. Real documents, real audio, real footage, leaked files proving that, during the early revolution, Ibrahim had authorized the detainment of suspected civilians without trial, that he had held back a shipment of medical supplies to pressure a pharmaceutical company into lowering prices, that he had allowed a drone strike to proceed, knowing it might kill innocents, because it would also remove a weapons cache. Yara confronted him. "Is it true?" He didn't deny it. "Yes. You never told me. I hoped I wouldn't have to." She stared at him. They'll use this to tear you down. I know, he said. But if I lie now, I become the very thing I swore to fight. That evening, President Ibrahim Traoré addressed the nation. Live, unfiltered. He didn't deny the truths that were revealed. He confessed them, explained each decision, the cost, the regret, the weight he carried, not to clear his name, but to let the people decide if they still believed in it. I am not clean, he said. I am not pure, but I never stopped fighting for you, even when it meant staining my hands. And the nation, stunned, did not fall into silence. It roared, with applause, with chants, with belief. Across the sea, in a glass tower in Geneva, Le Chasseur stood watching the footage with a cracked glass of wine in hand. He turned it on us, a colleague hissed. He used our own attacks to make himself stronger. Le Chasseur's face was tight with rage. No more games. No more subtlety. He picked up a secure phone. Activate Phase 4. All assets. We ended. That night, inside the National Intelligence Agency in Ouagadougou, a sensor was tripped. A silent alarm. A gate opened that should have stayed closed. And from the underground vault, 6 men walked out, dressed in black. No names. No history. Only one mission. Assassinate Ibrahim Traoré. In his sleep, the rain came heavy that night. It wasn't the usual Sahel drizzle. It was a flood from the heavens, hammering rooftops and flooding dirt paths into rivers. Thunder cracked like the warning drums of war. But inside the presidential residence, there was only silence. A trap was about to be triggered, and the bait was sleeping, or so the enemy believed. 6 black figures slipped through the security perimeter like smoke. No alarms. No cameras. They had intel from high up. Intel that said the West Gate had a 20-second blind spot. That Ibrahim's personal guards rotated every 15 minutes, and one of them was already on their side. That Ibrahim slept on his left side and never locked the second bedroom door. They moved as one. Precision-trained. No wasted movement. They called themselves the Ash Six, legendary assassins pulled from the deepest shadows of the Black Corridor. Each had a different specialty. Infiltration, close combat, poisons, long-range kill shots, explosives, tech disruption, and most importantly, escape. But tonight, none of them would escape. Inside the residence, the presidential bedroom was dim. A single lamp flickered. Rain tapped against the windows. The heavy breath of a sleeping man could be heard. The leader of the Ash Six, a woman named Raja, nodded once. The team spread out. One to cover the hallway. One to scan for heat signatures. One to disable the earpiece mic of the nearest guard outside. Raja approached the bed, pulled a silenced pistol from her thigh holster, and raised it. 2 steps. 1 breath. She aimed, pulled the trigger. Click. Nothing. The gun had jammed. She looked down. Too late. The sleeping body in the bed sprang up, stuffed pillows falling to the floor, just as the real Ibrahim Traoré stepped from the shadows behind the curtain, sidearm raised. You're not the only one who knows the hallway rotations. He fired. 1 shot. Raja dropped. And then all hell broke loose. Lights flooded the room. Doors slammed. Guards stormed in from every entrance. Ash Six scattered, one leaping through a side window, another diving into the corridor with a blade drawn. But the guards were waiting. Yara was waiting. From her post in the surveillance room, she had tracked their every move. From the moment the vault was opened, the moment the biometric code was used. The real inside man had already confessed hours ago under pressure. The entire infiltration was allowed to unfold so they could draw the 6 out in the open, together. Now, they were being hunted inside a trap of their own design. One of the assassins made it to the outer hallway. His name was El Toro, a monster of a man, trained in 6 martial disciplines. He slammed 2 guards aside and reached for a grenade at his belt. As he pulled the pin, a bullet hit his hand, then another to his knee. He dropped, screaming. Ibrahim approached him, gun still hot. You don't get to die yet, he said. Across the compound, Yara and Ouattara worked in tandem, isolating the assassin's communications. The team wasn't just here to kill. Their earpieces were feeding live updates to a satellite drone circling above, broadcasting their path to a command post far outside Burkina Faso. Yara tapped into it. hijacked the feed, and sent something back. In Geneva, inside the secure bunker of the Black Corridor, the feed cut out, replaced by live footage of their own assassins being captured one by one. Le Chasseur slammed his fist into the table. Shut it down. Burn everything. The other men at the table didn't move. One of them stood up, quiet, cold, a man who had bankrolled half the operation. No, it's over. We failed. You don't understand, Le Chasseur spat. He's turning the world against us. No, the man said. He already has. Then turned and walked out, leaving Le Chasseur alone. Back in Ouagadougou, the last of the Ash Six was dragged out of the generator room. All of them alive. All of them caught. President Ibrahim stood before them in the palace courtyard as dawn broke. His body was worn. His eyes were fire. You could have killed me, he said quietly, if I hadn't listened, if I hadn't learned. But now I know your names, your methods, your sponsors. He turned to his team. We're not just defending this country anymore. We're hunting the ones who try to sell it. Weeks later, international tribunals were formed. Burkina Faso presented undeniable evidence of the attacks. Bank trails, code sequences, eyewitness confessions. The world had no choice but to acknowledge what had been denied for too long. There was a war, and Ibrahim Traoré had survived it. Not by power, not by fear, but by truth. He walked through the crowd on Independence Day, not flanked by a wall of soldiers, but side by side with farmers, teachers, students, and orphans. One old man, blind in both eyes, reached out and touched Ibrahim's arm. They said you were dead. Ibrahim smiled softly. Not today. Somewhere far away, in a cabin buried in snow, Le Chasseur sat alone, watching Ibrahim's speech on a cracked monitor. He lit a cigarette. Next time, he muttered, we don't send poison. He leaned forward. We send a revolution. But back in Burkina Faso, under a clear blue sky, President Ibrahim Traoré raised a single glass of palm wine. Someone offered to pour it for him. He smiled, took the bottle himself, and raised it high, because now he knew. The waiter tried to poison Ibrahim Traoré, not knowing the president already knew.